This is Arvin Vora, founder of Vora Method and author of How to Get into an Ivy League College. In this video, I'm going to tell you what you can learn in the Vora Method College Essay Training Program. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about my own backstory. At the school that I attended, they maintain records of who gets into which college based on their grades and SAT scores. They don't put your name on it, but here's on the horizontal axis. On the horizontal axis, say they'll put grades. On the vertical axis, they'll put SAT scores. And you'll notice that people have very low grades and low SAT scores. They usually don't get in, right? They get these X's. The red X means that person applied to this college and didn't get in. Then what you'll have is, people start to get in. Maybe a couple people don't get in, but by and large, most people start to get in with the higher grades and SAT scores. And as the grades and SAT scores get even higher, basically everyone gets in. But if you look at the actual records of the school that I attended, the high school that I attended, way out here, with super high grades and super high SAT scores, there's an X. There's someone who didn't get in. What? Who in the world could possibly not get in? I mean, look at these. I mean, these are the highest SAT scores, the highest grades. How could someone like that not get in? What kind of an idiot was that? Well, that kind of an idiot was me. This red X over here represents, me. Very, very high grades, very high SAT scores. I had the highest SAT scores in my graduating class, the highest PSAT scores, took the most APs, got the most fives and the most APs. I was in the most advanced classes. I was the president of a couple clubs. I founded some of the clubs. I was a varsity athlete. I'd done tons of community service. And yet, I was an X. I didn't get into almost all of the colleges that I applied to. Now, fortunately, just by like some bit of luck and fate or whatever, I managed to get into my second choice college, but I got rejected from a lot of my safety schools. So what caused that to happen? Well, it was the essays. The essays and the other part of the application, they just weren't very good. I didn't understand how to write the kind of essays that actually get you in. I didn't know how to create an application that was going to actually get you in. And once I had that experience, obviously I was annoyed and infuriated and disappointed. After I got over that, I started wondering, well, what is this thing? What is this skill that I didn't have? So I started learning more about things like marketing, psychology, espionage, persuasion. I studied literally anything that involved persuasion. I read books about cult deprogramming. I read books about psychodynamic psychology. I read books about advertising. I read books that talked about how prisoners of war are persuaded. I read everything. I started to piece together. I started to figure out what had gone wrong. I talked to admissions officers. I talked to people working inside of medical admissions, inside of college admissions. Every type of person who I could talk to, I did. I listened to the life stories of many people who had gotten into college to understand what it was about their way of presenting themselves that was different. And over time, I started to put these together to create a system and taught other people how to do it. And, many of my students have gotten to, as I'm sure you guys know, many of my students have gotten to top tier colleges. They've gotten to all of the Ivy League colleges plus Stanford and MIT. Many have gotten to combined medical programs. So they all did these things that I wasn't able to do at the time because, they have the benefit of some of my knowledge. And we've seen this method work in literal side-by-side comparisons. A little bit ago, a few years ago, one student came in, and it was a student like me. He had more AP fives than I did. He had like 14 or 15 AP fives. He had higher CT scores, higher grades, but he got in basically nowhere. He did a year at community college. He came to work with us. We didn't change anything in his academics. We didn't have him take any more APs. We just worked with his essays. He fixed the essays and he got into his top choice college, which is actually a specific honors program. They're super hard to get into those very specific honors programs within a college where they let, like 5 or 6 people in. So we know that this method works. Another student, these got into the colleges and the school was so shocked that they literally didn't believe her. They had her show the acceptance letter. And when they saw it, they were so amazed. They basically had her teach the next year's rising juniors a class about the importance of college essays. Other former Vora Method students have gone on to write college essays professionally with different companies that just literally write the college essays for you. That's not one of the things that we offer. I don't think that's really providing education, but we don't tell our students what to do with the knowledge they learn. You can do whatever. So they've taken this knowledge and use it to do this like full time professionally. So this is a method that works, and it's completely different from anything that you've seen before. It's going to be completely different from anything you've thought about. A lot of these exercises in the early phases, they're going to seem really strange. Like you won't necessarily get immediately what you're even going to be doing with them. So I'm going to try to explain that a little bit now, what you're going to learn in this program. I want to ask you though this question. I want you to think about what it takes to stand out enough. You know that you need to stand out to get in. You know that. So you think, well, let me stand out. Well, let's ask this. How many class presidents are there in the country? How many senior class presidents are there? It's not hard to calculate. It's going to be basically the same number as the number of high schools in the country. Each high school is going to presumably have one class president, so the number of class presidents equals the number of high schools. And that's about 20 to 30,000 people. Harvard lets in 2,000 people a year. So even being a class president is not standing out anywhere nearly enough. You're 10 times too far off. It's that far away. So we're going to be showing you a totally different set of techniques, stuff that you just have never even thought about before. I'm not going to tell you every single part of everything because a lot of these are very complicated and difficult ideas. We're going to go through them in depth, but let me just give you an overview. You're going to learn the holy trinity of cleverness generation techniques. All right, that's going to be something we call analogical reasoning, categorical reasoning, and reversal. That's going to be used to show your intelligence. You've probably seen when you're reading a good college essay, there's just this X factor, this kind of feeling of cleverness and sophistication that the essay has, and it's hard to put your finger on it. We're going to tell you exactly what that is, exactly how to do it, and you're going to learn exactly how you yourself can use those techniques, taking it as far as you've seen in the best college essay you've ever read, or even farther if you want to. This is going to be something that's under your direct control. We're going to show you how you can create the impression of being emotionally aware and having a lot of insight on who you are as a person, how to really convey that. We're going to show you how to unforgettably answer just those annoying questions like why do you want to go to Harvard? And of course your instinct to be, well, duh, why are you asking me the stupid question? We're going to show you how to answer that question. It's different from what you think. There is an actual way to do that correctly. There's a correct way to do it, and there's a lot of incorrect ways to do it. And it's different from what you think. It's a really different way of thinking about anything that you're doing. I'm going to give you a hint. It's not just saying I like the fact that it has good academics and it's in a big city and I like the weather. It's not about that. It's not about the architecture or any of that nonsense. It's going to be a totally different thing. You'll see about that. We're going to teach you to avoid the common pitfalls. We're going to tell you why you shouldn't declare that you're pre-med. Sometimes people make the mistake of avoiding independent majors, because they're like, well, that's not very serious. Well, actually, saying that you want to do an independent major is one of the best things you can do for your application. We're going to teach you to avoid stating the obvious. It's one of the biggest errors that people make, but people just go around stating the obvious and they wonder why their essay feels plodding and boring. Well, it's because it's just jammed with a bunch of obvious stuff. And we will be teaching you to use the North Star question that's going to guide every part of your application. I'm going to tell you that question right now. There's going to be a whole deeper video on just that question, but let me tell you the question right now. For any piece of your essay, you're going to ask one question. Is it conceivable that someone else has had this thought before? Someone else has written on this topic. Someone else has had this answer before. And if it is conceivable, that's the wrong answer. Is it conceivable that someone else has done this before? Is your North Star question. And you're going to ask that for every answer to every question, whether it's a one-word answer or an entire essay. And finally, we're going to do a little bit of stealing people's personalities like a witch, if you want to look at it that way, or cleverly mimicking somebody like a spy, if you want to look at it that way. Listen, we have thoroughly interviewed and talked to so many people that have the exact personalities that colleges are looking for, and we have understood everything about their past and their present, their backstories, their childhood, all that kind of stuff, and put together exactly what you need to do. The college admissions department is going to function kind of like an immune system. Its job is to recognize like and to reject not like. They're going to say like, this is self, this is not self. These are the people who are like us. These are the people who are not like us. You might not be like them. And honestly, I hope you're not, because, college admission is a bunch of lazy socialists, but I hope you're not. But even if you are, you might still accidentally come across as not. So I'm going to show you how to make sure that you have the personality markers that they will use to identify you as part of their in-group. It's a subtle technique. It's not easy, obviously, but it's very learnable, and you will be able to learn it if you put 110% effort into what you're doing over here. This is not like any other college essay course anywhere. This is miles beyond. It is much harder. It is designed to get you into top tier Ivy League colleges, into super selective honors programs, into combined medical programs. This is a completely one-of-a-kind course. There's nothing like this anywhere, and it's going to be a very hard course. If you are ready for the course that'll give you the biggest advantage, although it will be the hardest course of its kind anywhere, I hope to see you in this program. If you have questions, please email me at learn@voramethod.com.